and I'm by myself, solo dolo, but I still got a guest in the building. That's right, King Maurice, everything on God. My man, 100 grand, the man who's a father, who's an entrepreneur, who's a financial literacy expert, and somebody who's trying to live his best life and not only become a man, but also become a king. Welcome to the platform, my good brother.
Thank you for having me, man. I'm so glad
Yeah.
to be any opportunity I get to share what God's given me with the world. I'm truly grateful and truly honored.
Yeah, man. Look, it's an absolute pleasure and honor to chop it up with you today, man. And listen, we got into a lot about financial literacy and manhood, but I kind of want to know in real life, in real time, let's have real talk. How are
Okay.
you doing? How are you moving as a man right now, today, in your world right now? How you doing?
Um, I call it in one. If I would put it in one word, I'll say ownership.
Mm,
Just taking ownership uh, of every aspect of my life, if that makes sense. So like how I
mm,
navigate my mind, how I navigate fatherhood, how I navigate everything that I do. Whether it's my fault or not, being taking charge in every situation that I'm involved with, because I believe that it's us as men to be proactive in life instead of
mm.
reactive to circumstances
Come on.
around it. That's
I
that's
love
kind
it.
of
Yeah, it's crazy because I use a quote with my clients, and I'm gonna say it with you when I deal with developing men and taking ownership. I'm
yeah,
gonna live by this quote, my good brother. It's not my fault, but it is my responsibility.
I
And
100% agree.
yeah, so what I tell people, and I give the analogy, is like my children's behavior at school is not my fault. They did it. They were disrespectful. They were out of pocket. But you better believe that that's still my responsibility to address, to manage, to intervene, and to adjust going forward. My wife's behavior is not my fault. Now she could even try to make it my fault, but her behavior, she has free will, is on her. It doesn't negate the fact that my wife is still my responsibility. So I still have a duty to address, to intervene, and to redirect, right? And
Yeah,
so part of our responsibility is to separate blaming, right, and to get
hmm
to adjusting. And so I love that, man. And a young man, I got a chance to onboard a young man who's inspiring to get into business and sports management. And he was just shadowing me for a session today. And it's funny, he said, the word that I gave him today was ownership. And I was
hmm
explaining to him how, like, using ownership alone,
yeah,
taking ownership alone has revolutionized my life through my 20s and my 30s. So, as
hmm
somebody who's a step ahead of you in their 40s, my whole life is not based on my degree. It's
hmm
not based on, other attributes or materialism. It's based on whether I was in this country or that country, whether I was in this organization or that organization, whether I was in this situation or that situation, whether I had some money or whether my money was funny. I still took ownership in the situation to
exactly.
take the lesson that I needed to gather to develop the person I need to be. So, talk about as you're taking ownership, what are some key lessons you're learning about yourself?
Um, I'm learning it's okay to make mistakes, right?
Mm,
One thing that I encourage people to in my space too, is we really have to teach our kids, right? So I'm the kind of dad
mm,
that's I come down with the hammer, but I also come down with apologies as well. I'm not the one that
okay.
says, if all the kids, I'm not the dad that's going to be like, I heard everybody yelling or someone broke it. I don't care. Everybody's in trouble. No, I give them a space to talk. And then if I'm wrong, I apologize. So I want my kids
Mm,
to be able to, at a young age, vocalize themselves so they can grow up. But that starts with me, right? So,
mm,
and I don't know if I shared my story with you already about losing my wife last year, but that was
mm,
a grief that came upon me. And with that ownership space, I would get to moments where I would just, unknowingly be caught off guard by the emotion, and then it'll come
mm.
out like and being like, annoyed. We parents got to admit sometimes our kids aren't really that bad. We're just annoyed in the moment, but they're not really doing anything wrong. And I had to start
I
catching
mean, we
myself.
can we can still debate that, but go ahead, my brother. You know what I'm saying? Your
But
kid's not that bad.
No, I think in some facets, okay. I'm not saying kids are perfect or anything like that, but I'm saying sometimes we got to check ourselves. We got to say, okay, was I out of line for this, or was this is this the right moment to correct my child in this particular way? But
Mm,
but with grief, I had to realize that uh, pain of grief can spark random emotions at random times.
mm,
I had to learn how to navigate that space while continuing to parent, while continuing to lead as a father. So I took ownership of not of being okay to not be okay, and embracing that
mm,
grief, so I can be here for my kids, like mentally, spiritually, physically.
mm.
And that's where ownership really
Wow.
took over to where I feel like I'm now. I want to say graduated mentally into a place of like unbothered, right?
Mm,
Like I don't let my emotions dictate how I'm going to parent. If the raw got to come down, it's not because I'm angry. It's because it's necessary for that moment because my child out of line. But also on the other side, I celebrate them when they're doing things, encourage them when they show me like, hey, Dad, I worked on this thing. Like my daughter
yeah.
came to me the other day, showed me like this whole uh, art spread. Like she was making clothes, dolls, and like she's going to be an artist. She's going to be like a clothing designer. It's like, where'd you
Yeah.
learn? I had that conversation of like, what inspired you? How'd you come up with
Mm,
this? What made you do it? The smile just grew and grew on her face as she was showing me her designs. So it's really taking ownership of like, in my particular situation, being a single father, I have to do everything I can to make myself 100% so I can give my kids 100%.
mm. I love what you said, man. Being okay when not being okay, so you can be present. Man, that's so good. As somebody who struggled with being present, um, man, you show incredible resolve as a young man. I admire the way you still show up despite losing your spouse. As somebody who is new to grief, my hero just passed away last month. And when you talk about going in and out of emotions, I was heavy in that. And so my strategy has been to not allow it to consume me. I like numb myself to the thought so that, you know what I mean? Like I can be productive.
Right.
It's like I'm trying to figure out. I got a session coming up, oddly enough. I think Thursday actually, like a wellness session to process my grief in the sense of like, how do you in your journey with grief,
Mhm.
and somebody you love and care about so much is no longer here, and all your thoughts is like missing them or remembering the great times. But like, I got deadlines. I got all the stuff to do by 5 o'clock. I have children I have to raise. I got staff depending on me. I got very intense conversations I have literally every day. But at the same time, people are aware that I just buried my dad, but it's like, man, well, we also depend on you to get things done for the organization. So it's like I'm in a weird space. It's a space I've never been in. So what advice you would give somebody new to the grieving process?
So my best advice would be to ride the waves. So prior to my wife, um, prior to losing my wife, over the course of 5 years, we had two miscarriages, two stillbirths. My journey is like
Mm.
being encouraged to write a book about how basically this subject matter of dealing with grief to keep pushing, especially as men. But my
Mm.
biggest thing that I learned, because I did grief counseling as well. I'm a big fan of Jesus and therapy. So
Mm.
I learned to ride the waves and really make sure I acknowledge every stage of grief, from anger to bargaining to acceptance, all the stages that they walk you through, and just really
So
make
hold
sure.
up. But can you help us out? What are like the general stages of grief?
So I know from what I recall, I always remember the three. It's bargaining, um, acceptance, and then no, acceptance is the last stage. Bargaining is the stage before that, but then there's anger, sadness, and there's another one I always forget. But the last two, the people that never they never get past the acceptance. So they cycle through the other four stages of sadness, anger, bargaining, and
You
if
said,
you hear,
and I want to make sure I'm make sure I'm hearing you properly. You said
yeah,
bargaining.
yeah, bargaining, like kind of like if you can, I'll do this, God, if you can fix this for me, or I would, if
Mm,
if you can change this in the situation, then I'll do this, or trying to make some kind of like reasoning as to why, instead of just accepting that it happened. And what I mean by riding the waves, to kind of like sum it up all together, is whatever you're feeling, fully feel that. I know it's hard for us, for guys, to do. When I was angry, I literally told my kids like, "Hey, guys, y'all gotta go in the other room for a moment. Dad is a little mad." I literally got a punch it back right here off camera. That was my
that's
best friend
crazy.
getting of my grief. Like, I'll tell the kids, "Hey," and then I'll show them, like, I'm teaching my kids boxing lessons now, how to do their thing to kind of let it out. If they're not sad, they're angry, they hit the punching bag. But when I'm sad, and it's hard for me to cry. I'm not gonna lie. I even get like choked up now. It's hard for me to cry. So sometimes I do something that's gonna trigger. Like, I'm gonna think about something, or I have to try to find something, like something that kind of trigger the emotion, so I can cry,
Mhm.
or think about something and make myself cry. Like, I'm unashamed to say that. I make myself cry just so I can let it out. So whatever emotion that you're feeling in the grief process, fully embrace it, because like you might have a big cry or a big lash out or a big mode of burst out of anger right now, but then when that anger comes around, it's not going to be as heavy. When that sadness comes around, it's not going to be as heavy, to the point where you're remembering and honoring and cherishing those memories without getting choked up or emotional, or having like a breakdown. So really ride the waves.
Yeah, thank you, man. I feel more sadness than anger, but it's crazy you mentioned boxing because I was like, I got to do something different this time around. And I took up boxing on my birthday last month. And so I was at the gym today and like rushed to this call. Um, Shout out to Leo, my boxing trainer. But it also just allows me to get out, I wouldn't necessarily say anger, but just get out frustration, you know. Um, but I definitely feel the sadness. Um, I don't feel anger, and I'll tell you why. Because with my situation, my dad lived to be 87 years old.
Oh wow.
Um, he didn't cheat me at all. I got to have him for 42 years. He helped me navigate my kids all the way into their teenage years. So it is not, not like I'm angry because I'm like, man, I didn't get to have a dad, or my
Right.
dad's situation got, unfortunately taken out, or my dad's situation, you know what I mean? I didn't feel cheated at all. Matter of fact, I felt blessed. I felt grateful. I felt an immense sense of just gratitude of like, wow, like, and then I was adopted. So my dad adopted me in his mid 40s after raising six kids. So I'm 42 and I'm like, yo, um, I can't believe that my dad in his mid 40s, after getting kids out the house, decided to just, in a moment, I'm going to take this child as a baby and
Right.
raise them all the way into my 60s. Like, so I have a lot of, like, I'm just extremely grateful for my dad, but I am also sad because he meant so much to me personally, separate from obviously being my dad. We had our own personal relationship, and multiple family members were just like, man, you and your dad's relationship, your dad always talked about you, or, you and your dad was super close. So people are checking in on me because they actually not know that just my dad, but the dynamic of our relationship. So
Wow.
how do you feel about people checking up on you about what you're going through?
Um. Before I answer that question, just for the viewers, I wanted to add what I was missing was denial and depression. So it's the
Mm.
stages of denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. But to, that way, anyone that's taking notes or getting anything, they have that. How I deal with people checking in, I have a strong community. Like for
Mm.
example, after this, I'm going live with my brother-in-law. His name's Chad. We have a brokerage. We do financial literacy. We do the coaching to run the business together. We have these talks every day, right? Because our family was so close. She had about 7 sisters. She has a brother, and not to mention my family was close with her family. So that
Mm,
closeness, everyone's always checking in on everybody, and so I
mm,
appreciated that. And one thing that kind of opened up my eyes too was that I reconnected with a lot of people. We had like
mm.
online. Yeah, a lot of people I grew up with lived in Virginia. I live in Florida now. But that opened up like the door when people heard, like they really poured out love. Like my old roommates from college, we would check in every now and again. But like more recently, we connect when I'm back in town. We connect more and hang out. So like I started seeing things like that happen. Like people weren't just checking in, but people were like reconnecting, and I thought that
Mm.
was me has been a blessing.
Yeah, that's funny how death has a unique way of galvanizing people because when my dad died, we had a WhatsApp chat of almost 40 people now of 3 generations that we
Oh,
literally somebody messages something like almost every single day now. And it's so dope because at the funeral, I saw a cousin who I was raised with. I'm talking about 18 years of my life. I haven't seen him in 20 years. I
oh
haven't
wow.
physically seen him in 20 years. That's like, and it blew my mind that I was raised with this person. They lived with me for like 8 years, and I
Hmm.
haven't seen you in 20 years. Like, how is that even possible?
Right.
And then multiple people was 10 years, and then multiple people was 5+ years. And I was just like, now we're on a chat talking every time because we all love dad, granddad, great granddad. Like everybody loved him and respected him. So it's like out of respect of him, we're gonna keep together. So it's
Mhm.
like his legacy is so like it really shows you as a man what's really important because I get to see the afterlife of my dad. It's like, man, he'll be so proud that even though he raised 3 generations and people spread out all over the world, that his death and his impact on everybody's lives brought everybody together through technology. And it was like, we would have never came together if it wasn't for this. And so that's like the silver lining in it. But I do, when people check up on me, bro, I don't know if you ever had this feeling, but I'm just like, do you ever feel like it's a little bit disingenuous? It's like if you
Uh,
never checked on me before, and it's like you're checking up on me now, and like I don't know.
yeah,
I feel a little bit of that.
definitely know that feeling. Like a lot of like I'll say I put it like this: people that I reconnected with, they were genuine. Like what they said, how they approached the situation, they were genuine. But there were some people that like they were just doing like how some people just see a post on Facebook, oh my condolences, like
Yeah.
that. There was a group like that, like they reach out but it didn't seem genuine. But again, a good
Mm,
amount did. So that's I just navigated that too. Just said thank you to the other ones, but like embrace those that continue to check on because they continue to check in, they continue to follow up, they continue to connect, kind of just like the family chat you got going on. That's building and growing. Something that brought the
mm,
family together made this like a new thing. Like, hey, this is a moment where we can keep this new thing going, this new
yeah.
connection, like togetherness going.
Yeah, I love it, man. So let's make a pivot, bro. How does a man who's a single parent live life in the Instagram era? Like how is life for you in the dating world or the mating world in the Instagram era? Like how does that work? Because inquiring minds want to know.
Oh man, so number one, I dislike Instagram altogether. The reason why I try to be on there more is really for the business, for these kind of connections. If I was on social media, we wouldn't have connected, right? Um,
Yeah.
and but in the dating space, I'm actually just like I'm new to it. I'm more of an in person kind of person. I've probably done like maybe a couple apps where I just was like swiping out. This ain't for me. I'm done with it. Like for me, and I'll break it down this way. In my opinion, well, I'm not gonna say my opinion. My experience has been
Come on,
I
man,
had
experience.
that's I had a successful marriage under God, so I know how
Mm,
a successful marriage works. I know what a
come on.
quality woman looks like that cares
Mm,
for her. that cares for a man that cares for her kids. So,
Okay, preacher. Hold on. Let's not drive by that. Let's just
sorry.
park. Let's park. Let's go ahead and park. How okay, Daddy Dude's kicking in real time. I love it. I
Okay,
love it, man. Come on. Come on. Pause for the kids. We gonna pause for them kids now.
thank you.
Especially single father. Yeah, yeah, yeah. How so tell me this.
Mhm.
What is a godly woman, from your experience? What does a godly woman look like? Because some women may be trying to figure out the blueprint. They may not.
So I'll put it like this: it's not about the look, even though my wife was beautiful, so I was
Come on.
super
Slide
blessed.
that in there. Yeah,
But it's
come on,
really
slide
not
that
about
in
right. And we got so like if she was here, we'll be celebrating 10 years this May.
there.
Um, so that's how many years we've been together. 9 years. Um, with that being said, you gain a lot of experience. Like people will always say, like the 3 year, quit and then the 5 year hump and then the 7 year struggle and all these kind of things. Like we made it to 9. Like we'd be going still if I wasn't in this situation. Um,
Mm.
but it really looks like a female that is sure of herself, like highly confident, but able to like a highly confident woman is able to submit. It's not like these um a lot of women that are portrayed online, and I feel
Mm.
like that's true because a lot of the women, like a lot of the strong women online, are the ones that the guys in my circle are. We're not even looking at you. We're not even going to talk to you. And then the guys that
Mm.
they're talking about are the same. They're not talking about us. They're not looking at us. So I feel like social media has made a vast. I can't think of the word. It has poorly displayed what a
Mm.
quality rich man and female look like because it makes it look like a lot of women are like this when that's not true, or a lot of men are like this.
Mm.
That's not true, but that's all we see because
Clickbait, bro.
guys like
Yeah.
you out there, we're not posting that too much, so no one's really seeing it.
Bro. Yeah, like that clickbait
Like I'm not
ministry is
fighting.
killing people, bro.
So and like the only time I've slid in, I don't even
Come
slide
on.
in DM.
Oh, I'm
People
about to
will
say you slipping and sliding? I said, don't tell
no.
me that you slipping and slide. I was just making sure. Like, how
I,
does it work?
I'll say I give this one story though. My DMs was popping one time because I was on Threads and I was just bored because people were talking about relationships. I was like, hey, women, if you're struggling with relationships, I want to help. I'll be happy to give advice. When I tell you, my DMs were flooded, and but I was just literally listening to them, and they were like, "Oh, this is nice to actually have a good conversation with no intention, like someone that actually listens to me and understands." And I'm like, "You don't get that?" And I kid you not, like half of them would show me
Mm.
screenshots of DMs that they got from dudes like saying like like, "Hey, I saw you on Instagram. What that thing do?" Like that's what women are experiencing out there, and I'm like,
Oh man.
so like somebody like me who has like has friends who share these things. I'm not going to slide into no DM because that's what they're expecting. They're like, here comes
Mm.
another person that's coming with the sweet talk just to say, hey, what that thing do? Like that's
What
not me.
that thing do?
I just watched
Y'all
New
boy,
Girl.
y'all boys out in these streets wilding, man. What that thing do?
Look,
Oh
hey,
man.
I've seen that and worse, man. I'm killing you. I'm kidding you. Not so for me in the dating space, adjusting. Like even my kids are definitely like they want a new mommy. They always tell people like it's kind of like a serious joke that we have going on. Where I don't want to go out, and my kids are like, go hang out with your friends because you need to find some new mommy. Like they say that, and like it's funny when people hear that too. But like they understand, like, and I appreciate and understand that there is a need for a nurturing
Mm.
feminine presence in the home, especially with
Come on.
kids at a young age. So
Um,
even
and
though I
how and how old are your
um,
kids now?
so my oldest is 19, she's at college, and then I have a 9 year old who's she's my 9 year old that was the one that just popped in, and then my 6 year old son.
Man, you blessed, bro. Man, you blessed. Man, I just sit back and just think about you, your situation, and your age. How old are you?
I'm 35.
Yeah, like, yeah, man. I pray that that something, in person or at church, something, man, can spark because um it's a beautiful thing to have somebody in this life. And so, as much as we talk about boy, man, king, and as much as we talk about be a strong dad, single parent, that's not what we're trying to stay, you know. And so, I send that good energy, as your kids say, I send that good energy your way, my boy. But I wanna ask you this, and we'll close out. Now that you've kind of been on this side, you was in a long, committed, loving, caring relationship. As a man, how has this now helped you look at life now that you had to live as a single father without that special someone?
Um,
How has it
it's
changed your worldview from what it was before when you was with her?
that I need another podcast episode for that, talking about how I see the world totally different now. Things that
Mm,
bother most people don't bother me at all. Like I'm
mm,
literally have come into my unbothered era. I saw a Will Smith interview. I think he did it with Lecrae, where he was talking
yeah,
about he reached a certain pinnacle in his life where like he can't buy anything else, so he's looking for something more. Right? That's kind of how I feel in the space. Like when you've obtained like certain things in life, you realize a lot of that stuff don't matter. Like when I lost my wife, all my ambitions didn't matter, all my goals, building this business.
mm,
I was like, I'll give all that up to have her back, right?
mm,
And so that allows me to look at life like when I'm approaching things, like it is what it is. Like I really don't get bothered. Like right now, the state of the world, we know we're dealing with crazy times right now, and
yeah.
well, depending on how you look at it, some people are winning, some people are losing. A lot of people are losing, a lot of people are winning.
Mm.
I don't care. I might get canceled for that, but I really don't care. I'm navigating it mentally for my mental health. I'm helping people see the world for what it is,
Mm,
that's what I want to bring to the world is we don't have to take on everything that's thrown in front of our faces, right? From social media to the news, we can literally be happy. We can literally find happiness and joy in the toughest of situations. I lost my
yeah.
wife, right?
Oh.
I'm raising 3 kids, um, but I work from home, right? I have a couple businesses going. I'm helping people gain financial freedom, ministering, sharing the gospel openly and freely, right? There's so many things that I'm so grateful for that I don't really have time or the energy to be upset about anything. If people
Mm,
have a problem with me, that's on them. That's not my business. That's on them. Because I don't put myself in a position to make anybody's life worse. My goal is to make every person's life better that I come to. Because so many people, as you can see, are out here making everybody's life worse. So I had to start,
mm,
even before all this happened, I was like, how can I make the world a better place? How can I
mm,
approach somebody? How can someone listening to this say, I gotta follow this guy. I gotta listen to what he's saying because I know I'm gonna feel better after talking to him.
mm,
That's kind
mm.
of my main
Wow.
like stigma for life is being that one person, right? Like like the word teaches us, like he hits you on the cheek. I just talked this last week. He hits you on the cheek, turn the other cheek. How many of us are willing to do that? Someone spits in your face and you're like, forgive them for they know not what they do.
Mm. I'm
So
not
many
I'm not there, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm like 68%, 71% Christian. I'm a full believer, but the behavior
yeah,
of a Christian, I'm not 100%. If somebody spits on me, I'm gone. And then God's, but when I'm grateful for God is Jesus. I always tell people, Jesus is my homeboy because he went on ahead and just gave his life
yeah.
so that his blood can wash away all my sins. Because Lord
Right.
knows I'm gonna be sinning.
I
Can
mean, we
I get
still ain't.
anything from somebody?
I say that now on the podcast, but you never know. You catch me on the street, you catch me outside. But to be honest, my go-to is why would I would never be in a situation where somebody would feel the urge to do that.
Mm,
Right?
mm,
That's how I move. That's how I navigate. That's how I talk. I'm always very what's the word? Is it analytical? What's the word when you calculate it? Very calculated.
okay. Yeah. And
Every
and I think just socially and emotionally aware. If you're just
that, that,
cognizant of
that
yourself and others, you can read
yeah,
temperaments, you can read tone. and you can understand this is not the place and the time to say or display certain things. With that being said, man, let the people know where they can find all the great information and access to, you know, the man,
So
the myth, the legend, Maurice.
Maurice I. Jones on all social media platforms, primarily Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. And right now, I'm pushing for my campaign this year at Homebuyer Academy Live. That's a platform where off camera, I'm trying to touch 100 churches. So if you're watching this and your church wants to come up and do a financial literacy class, where we're talking about home ownership and just financial basics for you to change your life, invite us. We come out and speak free. You can join our Facebook group, the 2025 Home Buyers Club, because if you join that group, we're going to speak over your life that you will be a homeowner within the next year or two. And that's just basically me in a nutshell. MauriceIJones.com. It'll probably be the easiest way to follow everything.
Man, I love it. Man, thank you so much for your time. This has been another great, incredible episode of the Boy Man King podcast. And as we say on the platform, man, the journey continues. Follow us and like, subscribe, and share. And man, follow Maurice, man. He got the juice like he pushed Bishop off the roof. Man, that's our time. Be blessed. And we'll holler at y'all, man. Have a good one.
I used to be called Juice, by the way.
Let's go.
All right,